In this video, I'm going to be talking to you about how to heal the Manchild or Peter Pan syndrome. I made a video earlier this year about this topic. In this video specifically, I wanted to focus on how to overcome it for good, how to actually heal it and grow up. The perspective I'm going to be focusing on this from is from the mother wound, or otherwise called the mother complex. I believe, from what I know, that this is one of the main reasons that men don't grow up. They have an unhealthy relationship to their mothers. And when you understand this and realize this and do what I tell you to do, you'll be able to outgrow it and actually develop into the man you were meant to be. To begin with, I want to talk about how this mother wound comes about. I've mentioned this in other videos as well, but it's important to recap this. So when you first come into the world, you are completely merged with reality and you feel everything is a part of you. Consider the first few years of your life. The primary person in most people's lives is their mother. On some level, you believe that you are your mother, and that gets quite deeply imprinted on you. Eventually, when you reach maybe about 3 years of age, you realize you are different from your mother, that you are a boy, she is a woman. There is something inherently different between the two of you. Now, that is when the original separation from the mother should occur and probably will occur. When you realize you are different, you would identify with your father or some male role model, some male figure. That's the original separation from your mother. But that alone is not enough. Your father could be absent, he could be neglectful, he might not be the healthiest person, he might be abusive, he could be anything, right? But he's probably going to be less than perfect. And if he is not perfect or good enough, then you are going to develop a mother wound, which means the imprint of your mother on your psyche, on your subconscious, remains on you. And then it becomes very difficult for you to separate and individuate. The world of the mother revolves around a lot of things like pleasure, comfort, easy life. I need to be nurtured all the time. Now, there's nothing wrong with being nurtured and relaxation sometimes, but the idea of pleasure and always wanting comfort, I hope you can see how many people stay stuck at this level. In some way, they're still wanting their mothers because they haven't fully grown up. To grow into mature adulthood or masculinity, life is hard. It's not easy. That's a bitter pill to swallow. A lot of people would rather just stay comfortable, safe, because the real world is too hard. And that's why you stay stuck in man-child mode, because you're afraid of the world. If the father is not healthy, if the father is wounded, absent, neglectful, abusive, any of these things, then that identification with the father doesn't really go smoothly. Although I do believe it will happen. Either way, there's still a strong identification with the mother. If you had a good, healthy, loving father, then you will have probably had a cleaner break from your mother. But that isn't the end of it. When you grow up into teenage years, then there needs to be another separation. And this is the more important separation, which is not happening. And when this later separation doesn't happen, you stay too closely attached to your mum. Understand this, because your mother is the primary caregiver in your life for them first early years, she leaves such a strong psychic imprint on you, on your subconscious, of the feminine. Your mother provides you with comfort, with pleasure, with nurturing, with just feeling good. She's always taking care of you. And unless you grow out of that mother wound, let's call it, then you're always going to be seeking pleasure, comfort, good feelings. If you're always seeking them, you can see how your life is going to turn out, because the world offers us now a lot of these good feeling things, and we get attached to them and trapped by them and never grow up. A lot of this pleasurable stuff for males is still keeping them stuck to their mothers. What would have originally happened in a traditional society or culture, they used to have rites of passage, which you've probably heard about. Now, these rites of passage were found cross-culturally all around the world at different stages of time. So they were coming from deep within the unconscious mind, because a lot of these tribes and ancient cultures had no way of communicating with each other. There was no internet. So from somewhere in the psyche of these wise people, they knew that men need to boys needed to be initiated into manhood. They needed to be put through some ritual, some process that they would go through and then come out the other end as a man. They even have rites of passage now still. Interestingly enough, from what I've heard, they have them in some gangs, like gang culture. They might make you go and beat somebody up or even kill someone or steal a car, or the whole group has to beat you up for like 10 minutes and just kick the shit out of you. And if you come through any of these processes, these rites of passage that they've created, then you are initiated into the gang. It's like that, except this had a lot more meaning to it. This was initiating you into manhood traditionally. Now, I've heard some examples of what these initiations looked like. There were some that weren't very extreme, some were very extreme. I'll give you some examples. So I read one about an Aboriginal rite of passage where the boy would have to drink the blood of the older men. Okay, it's not pleasant, but you could probably do it. There's another extreme one I heard as well, where the young males would have to have hooks put into their like pectoral muscles, and then they were hung like that from the pecs for a couple of days. So that's very challenging. That was the point for most of these experiences. They had to be painful, challenging, and difficult, because if they weren't challenging and difficult enough, it was too easy for the boy to regress into the world of his mother, into the world of comfort, pleasure, niceness, like everything the mother offers. So that was the point of this rite of passage. You have to suffer. You need to go through something very, very challenging and difficult that stays with you, that permanently keeps you out of that mother wound, out of the world of the mother, out of the world of the feminine. I don't know if you ever get over that deep imprint of your mum because it's so deeply embedded in you, but to a certain degree it doesn't really matter, because the rite of passage, providing you live a hard life where you're always pushing yourself and you're always challenging yourself, you'll always stay out of its clutches. But that means your life on some level will need to be challenging and need to be difficult. And this is probably why they say men's lives are hard, men's lives are suffering, men's lives are difficult, because they have to be. Because if they are not, you're always going to regress back to that world of comfort, to mummy. Now, I want to talk to you about how to fix this, how to heal from this. First of all, there's a couple of things you need to do in relation to your mother. The first one, very, very important, is you need to forgive her, okay? You might have some resentment for your mum. You might blame her for some things. Maybe she was too overprotective of you, or you don't think she helped you or supported you. She wasn't there for you. Whatever it was, you've got some sort of mother wound which has held you back from growing up. Anytime you have anger or resentment towards someone, you get stuck by that thing. So if you have any unhealthy, negative feelings towards your mother, you need to release them, or you'll never grow up. You'll stay stuck and attached to that first primary relationship. So forgiveness is so important. Now, forgiveness means you have to open your heart. You have to work through a lot of uncomfortable emotions, which is not easy to do. I don't want to go on too much about this, but there's a lot of information out there about how to forgive. You can see a therapist and work through it. You can journal on it. You can do forgiveness meditations. Ultimately, you want to start to feel your heart is opening up, and you want to start to develop a healthy relationship with your mum. Okay? I'm not saying you just disown her. You need to have an adult relationship. If you're a man-child, you probably have a child-adult relationship. That relationship needs to be harmonized and balanced. That cannot come around until you forgive her. Because while you've got all the resentment and the pain and the hurt, you're taking the place of the child and you are putting her in the position of the adult. Okay? As you begin to forgive her, that will just naturally start to balance out. You might need to set some boundaries, but you should still be there for her, care for her, love her, and help her in every way that you can, right? I'm not saying you just disown her or you get angry at her or anything like that. That's all the stuff you need to work through. Second very important thing is, if you haven't already, you need to create distance and space from your mother. Now, this is really for people who are stuck at home, still living with their mothers. Maybe you're 30 years old, maybe you're 25, I don't know. However difficult your situation is, you need to find a way out, because while you are so close, in such close proximity, it's going to be literally impossible for you to escape that imprint, that mother wound, because it's like a swamp. Because it was the earliest experience you ever had, subconsciously you are so attracted to and drawn to it. So if you're living in such close proximity, it's just going to keep pulling you down, because the subconscious has way more power than you do. You've seen that iceberg analogy, right? You've got this little 10% or 5% of your conscious mind that you're trying to free yourself, but everything else is going against you. And it doesn't matter how much willpower you think that you have, that is always going to make you regress. So distance, okay? I don't know how hard it's going to have to be for you. Like I said, to break free of the mother, it is difficult. It is suffering. It is hard. You might have to struggle financially for a long period of time. But do you want to stay stuck where you are, or do you want to actually find out who you are and develop into a more mature sense of yourself? So they're the things you're going to have to work on in relation to your mother. Now, there's some more practical rites of initiation that we can do. If you look online, you can actually find these rites of passage. All around the world, there's some artificial ones that men's groups set up. I've never attended one, but I don't think you need to. I believe you can just start to live your life as though it's a rite of passage. And that's what I want to share with you here. So I've come up with these 3 stages to help initiate you into manhood and escape the world of your mother. I would say they get progressively more difficult, 1 to 3, and you should work on all of them all of the time. They're all difficult. The first stage is abstinence. Abstinence from the easy, pleasurable things that you're addicted to, that you abuse. You know what I'm talking about. First of all, pornography. What is pornography? Pornography is just easy, pleasurable feelings you get from watching people do things, sexual acts on your phone. It's so easily accessible and it's there all the time, right? It's like your mum. I think the number 1 cause of porn addiction is you are still attached to your mum too much and you want that pleasure and comfort. And porn is the easiest way you can get that. Like, you know how addictive that is. That's how addictive the mother wound is. Pornography is the prime example. Another interesting thing about porn is, if you look at the sort of content out there, one of the most popular themes is MILF porn. That's very interesting, don't you think? That a lot of guys want to have this image of having sex with someone who resembles a mother. So if you think about what we've been talking about, that deep mother wound is always attracting you in some way. So that's one of the first things you need to cut out, is porn addiction. Second thing, you've got things like unhealthy food, pleasurable food, bad food. Just because it's easy, it tastes good. It's not actually good for you, but it's just pleasurable. Social media, scrolling on your phone all the time, wasting your time, thinking you've got all the time in the world, which you don't have. Binging on Netflix, playing video games all day, all these things. I mean, the main one is the pornography I wanted to bring your attention to. But all these cheap, pleasurable acts that the world gives us, because technology is just taking over. It's like the world has become a giant mother and it wants to keep us in this pleasurable, docile state. Okay, and it's very difficult to break free of that. It's getting harder and harder every day. Only when you realize what's going on, they're trying to just give me more comfort. They're trying to keep me numb. They don't want me to grow up and develop, because when I grow up and develop, then I become a real problem. Almost like that's what the world wants to do to you. The second stage of initiation is physical challenge. Okay, working out, exercise. Whatever you're doing, if you're not working out, you need some sort of physical challenge. Physical challenge is the easiest way to suffer, basically. That's what I'm getting at. It's not about how big your muscles are. It's literally about how much can you suffer when you work out. Now, I'm not saying you need to do it like every day and kill yourself, because I think you need adequate rest and recovery to perform at your best. It should be about performance as well. But it's just about doing hard things. If you're someone who always likes to go to the gym and just lift weights, I would challenge you to run like 5 miles. Okay, that's hard. I've always been someone who liked to do weights. For me to run 5 miles, it's difficult, it's challenging. It sucks. I hate every second of it, if I'm honest. But that's where the challenge is, right? So it's more so about facing the challenge and the pain and the suffering than what I enjoy doing. Do you see what I mean? Which is a bit like messed up. It's kind of the reason why people like David Goggins, his message is so powerful to young men, because he talks a lot about suffering. And I believe his message resonates with a lot of young men, because somewhere in the male psyche, we know we need to suffer to be initiated into manhood. So anytime you hear these influencers, even like Tate, talking about you need to suffer, you need to work hard, you need to face challenges, it's because on some level it's resonating, right? We don't know why, but we're seeking initiation. And so that message registers deeply within our unconscious mind. I don't know if they consciously know that. They might do, but that's why their message is so appealing. You know you need it, okay? For thousands and thousands of years, billions of men needed it, and they probably got that initiation. We don't get it now. You are hungry for it, okay? And physical challenge is just one way to suffer. Now, these first 2 stages are not enough. They will help you starve off that mother complex, because that mother complex, that wound, is going to be on you for the rest of your life. So you need to constantly be fighting it. The 3rd stage is the hardest stage, but it's going to help you the most as well. Now, I thought long and hard about this. Like, what's that thing that you can do every day, that you can develop your whole life around, that is going to be difficult and challenging, that will keep you growing and developing? And the number one thing I could think of is to start your own business, to pursue your own purpose, okay? That is the most challenging thing for a lot of people, because you're going to have to face a lot of failure, a lot of disappointment, a lot of rejection. You're going to have to take on a lot of responsibility and learn new things, deal with uncertainty, challenges, all kinds of difficulties that you don't get in normal life if you're not pursuing your own thing. If you work for like a corporation and they take care of you, they pay you enough money, you're comfortable, they give you benefits, and you get enough time to yourself, like weekends, but they still want your energy. They want your most valuable resource, your time and your energy, right? That's like that mother complex. That mother complex will keep you nice, but she wants you to stay with her. Do you see what I mean? She still wants to get her needs met from you. So these corporations are like a giant mother. They want to keep you nurtured and feeling good and nice, and not individuate and find out who you are, because if you pursue your own business, you're going to grow so much. That's going to, facing them challenges day after day is the ultimate initiation process, and you will become a true individual. And the world does not want individuals. They want people to be kind of programmed and living in this matrix, so to speak. So that's one of the best things you can do, is to just go your own path and learn through all the challenges that you face, the difficulties, the amount of responsibility you're going to have to take, and all the things that come with that. And that becomes just your initiation process that helps you just starve off that mother wound. Like I said, it's something that you're going to have to do all the time, because it's so deeply imprinted on you. It's very difficult to override it forever. And the final thing I wanted to say was that until you heal that mother wound, you will never be able to have a healthy relationship with any other women in your life, right? Wife, girlfriend. You'll always be seeing your mother in her, okay? And that is not healthy. You need to heal that, individuate, develop into the man that you ought to be, and from that place, attract the partner who is right for you. Okay, not some projection of this childish part of you who's still looking for his mum. You cannot have a healthy relationship until you've been through some sort of initiation process. Okay, so that's everything I'm going to talk about. Feel free to watch some other videos on here. I've got another man-child video and some others about masculinity, so go ahead and watch them. But until next time, God bless.